Welcome back to From the Burbs to the Tetons. So before I close up the ceiling and the wall, I need to fix this insulation. Insulation often doesn't live up to its R value, and there's two main reasons for that. You're either using the wrong insulation for the application, or you've installed it improperly. Here the problem is it wasn't installed properly. You really need it to be smooth and fill up the entire gap and not have holes and being crooked or sideways. I've included a link below to an example of the grading scale. It's 1, 2, or 3, 3 being the worst. When you have it installed as a 3, R13 actually gives you about an R2, R3 rating. So if you're going to add insulation someplace, please take the time to make sure you've got the right insulation for the job and you've installed it properly. Now sometimes making the videos is a bad thing because you're not paying attention to what we really should be doing. I'm going to go sister a 2x4 in there to attach the drywall to, and I was so intent on showing you how to fix the insulation, I stapled the side over there before I should have. So I'm just going to take the staples out, I'll pull it down, I'll get the sister up, the 2x4, and then I'll staple it again. Not a big deal, but it's one of those things you just need to always think about is what order do you do stuff. So you don't have to do it twice. discuss a very specific item here I'm seeing. See there? That dark line? That's when your insulation stops being insulation and becomes a filter. Insulation only works when air is not moving. So especially this kind of insulation needs to be in a cavity with 6 sides. A top, bottom, and 4 sides. So that it's capturing the air in that cavity, and then you don't want the air circulating in the cavity either, and that's what the insulation does. It keeps it from circulating. If your insulation just a filter, is not doing much, and it also is a place where it's capturing crap that you're going to breathe in, because if the air is coming in there and it's being a filter, it's probably being drawn into the house next. So just one of those things that you should think about if you're re-insulating. That's not the greatest, but it's better than it was, believe it or not. This is how it should have been done to begin with. It's touching the walls, right? I took a little of the extra and shoved it up in there, which still isn't perfect, but it's smaller than it was. So we went from really bad to, you know, kind of an F- install to a D+. If we weren't in California with really mild weather, then I would worry about it more. But fixing this one little section, you know, it would be like plugging a ocean window in the Titanic and thinking it would make a difference. So some things you just kind of, you know, do the best you can and move on. Now the other thing I'm doing too, is I'm using this rasping tool to take off all the, you know, mud, that, you know, the joint compound and things like that, just kind of smoothing it up, so to make it a little bit easier to put in the drywall. We got like a patch thing to put over that big hole. This is going to be rough. I mean, there's going to be a lot of mud put up on this, and yeah, so we'll just have to see how it goes. So I didn't take myself much doing the drywall because, well, I suck at it, and I don't know anybody who wants to watch somebody do a crappy job. I just kind of muddle through and do the best I can. I really got to get one of those tools for screwing in the screws so it, you know, doesn't pucker. Luckily this is just a small job, so I just kind of, you know, winged it. And I went ahead and spackled this just to get a feel for the spackle that I'm using. you know, it all always has different consistencies and stuff. And you might go, oh, that's really rough. Well, that's getting the tape on. You just want to get the tape in place. Like I said, I'm not great at this stuff, but I've done enough reading and I've done it a few times. The important thing is getting the tape done and getting it covered pretty good. Now this, just because of the way the the lumber is underneath of it, is pushed in kind of like, you know, the right side is in farther than the left side. The left side is pretty good as far as being right, but the right side probably was 3/8 of an inch in too far. And I just thought, you know what, just fill it in and let it dry overnight. I'm a big proponent of letting it dry overnight, even though you probably don't have to. You know, just because they say you can do something 4 hours after you do it, doesn't mean you should. So now that I've got a feel for the consistency of the mud, I'm going to go ahead and do the ceiling. Now, especially when the ceiling is in a rough shape, I've always had a hard time with using paper tape. And I'm going to use the self-adhesive, this stuff. So it's got holes in it, so what you do, you put it up first, and then you push it through. I think I'm going to have, you know, end up doing a better job using this stuff. And if you're just curious which one of these things I'm using Westpac TNT Light for the mud. Is what they recommended on their website for finishing. And I know not all of it's finishing, but as little as I'm using to fill in the stuff, well, I say that now, I mean it might be more than I expect. I didn't feel like I necessarily had to get a special one for doing the joints versus the finishing. So here we go. So I'm not going to show you putting up all the tape on the ceiling, it's kind of boring. And then the next thing I start doing is I'm going to be going through and just trying to fill in the crack and get the mud pushed through that tape. That's pretty straightforward, but I want to take my time to do it and do that, you know, the first go around, so I don't move the tape out of the way or pull the tape off from the pressure of pushing the mud through. So on this project I'm using a mud pan. On a previous project you saw me using a hawk. A hawk is a big flat piece of aluminum that's like 12 inches by 12 inches with a big handle in the middle. Now I brought the mud pan this time because it fit in the bag better than the hawk. But one of the things I'm realizing is that I really like the mud pan for putting on the rough coat. You can really get a lot of mud on your spatula and really goop it on nicely and quickly. And I like the hawk for being able to manage a finer amount of mud on my spatula when I'm doing finishing detail. Here you can see the biggest difference between using the fiber tape and the paper tape. With the fiber tape you put it up first, it has a little self-adhesive stuff on it, and then you push the mud through it to fill in the crack. And here I'm filling in the crack first, and then I'll put the paper tape on top, and then I'll put another layer over top of the paper tape. And before I give you the end of day recap, I thought I'd ask you to go ahead and give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. We'd love to see you subscribe. If you've got some questions, comments, tips and tricks that I didn't cover, please add them down below in the comment section, and I'll see you on the next video. I finished the rough coat, and I just stepped in some stuff. Damn it. So you can see that I've got that done. I've got a cold, so I wasn't going to do this middle piece. My daughter and I went through and figured out timing, and I really needed to do this tonight so it would dry, so I can do the whole first coat tomorrow. So that's just kind of an update, end of day update for today.